Okay, my name is Becky Burley. I'm the soccer coach at UF. This is Alan Kirkup, one of our assistant coaches. And we have sent to all you guys the NCAA proposal that the SEC has made to establish some new recruiting policies in women's soccer with hopefully eliminating early commitments. So the way we're going to work this video is I'm going to talk a little bit about the proposal, and then Alan is going to be the counterpoint and bring up some possible arguments against what we're doing, and then I'm going to hopefully refute those arguments, and then hopefully we troubleshoot some of the ideas that you guys might come up with in opposition to this. So first of all, the proposal has to be kind of taken as a whole and not in pieces. You know, there's some people who agree with certain parts of it, but not with other parts. The problem is if we only pass this in pieces, then we take away from the overall effectiveness of it. So I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Second thing is just be open-minded with these changes. One of the things I'd like to see is that we make decisions for what's best for our sport and not necessarily what's best for you as an individual institution. So to start off with, the first two proposals go sort of hand in hand with each other. And the first one is that you can't have contact, on or off-campus contact with a prospect until August 1st following the student's junior year. So in other words, August 1st prior to their senior year. So that means if a student athlete were to come on an unofficial visit, they can do that. They can come visit your school, check everything out, but they cannot meet with you while they're here on their unofficial visit.
So the argument, hopefully, to that, or some of the argument to that, is if a prospect comes in their junior year, maybe she's flown a long way for a tournament, and she comes to your school, she's going to want to meet the soccer staff in order to get a better idea of where she fits with your program, and you're eliminating that, which obviously every sport has that opportunity at the moment. We'd be the only sport that doesn't.
So my argument to that is the whole point of this proposal is that we want to eliminate early commitments. We feel like early commitments are damaging to our game in terms of they're not as educated about the decision they're making. It puts us in a precarious situation in terms of offering scholarships so far in advance. If we have any of our current players get injured, we run into issues about allowing them to come back versus having someone that's come into your program new as a recruit. You have to make that decision if someone gets hurt within the beginning of the season. And I think the earlier we have contact with prospects, the earlier they're going to commit. The only way to reduce early commitments is to reduce contact. Because once we allow contact, it seems as if it's a very short window after contact is initiated till before they're making a decision. So by not allowing them to meet with you while they're on campus, it hopefully eliminates that. Now, obviously, they can come and they can find out all they want to find out about the school. They can go on their admissions tour. They can do everything except meet with the soccer staff.
I think the argument to that is you talk about making a more educated decision regarding your choice of school, then you're taking away some of the education that you could be getting. Where do I stand in terms of your recruiting? Will my style fit your style of play? All those things, you're taking away the possibility of actually getting that information.
I think that's true, but we're not necessarily taking it away. We're just moving it back. We're pushing it back to where it happens in your senior year when hopefully you have a little bit more experience and maturity to be able to make those decisions. If we can have contact with you starting August 1st prior to your senior year, you can have all those questions answered. You can then come back on an official visit that the school pays for, and that's something we've really gotten away from. At the moment, official visits are for the kids who have committed, and that's about it.
Okay, so with signing day on the first week in February, you're cramming your argument between August the 1st and February the 1st. So in those 5 or 6 months, you've got to take your 5 official visits, plus maybe unofficial visits, plus decide all the different things you might about whatever school you want to go to. Isn't that making it, you're making the time frame unbelievably short in order to make that choice?
I think that's true, but I think that's how it was in the past. We recruited kids as seniors. They made decisions in February of their senior year, and they never even waited until then. When we recruited as seniors, most of those kids were deciding by November, December, and they're coming on official visits during the time when we're playing in our season, which is probably the most opportune time for them to come. Whether that's the most opportune time for us to recruit them as coaches is debatable, because I'd like to be focusing on my team, my current team. But as far as them seeing what the regular life of an in-season soccer student athlete is like when they come on their official visits, that's reality. That's what it's like.
They could do that on an unofficial visit their junior year.
They could do that on an unofficial visit their junior year. However, the problem is that, again, if we're allowing contact in their junior year, they're going to commit in their junior year. And as soon as we allow that contact, is what's going to happen, is going to be the commitment. All right, so there are some other parts of this that are controversial. This next one is probably one of the most controversial parts of it. We are not allowed, or under this policy, we would not be allowed to participate as a coach or administrator in the ODP program or national team program with any team that involves prospects. So basically from 9th to 12th grade prospects, as well as dealing with a club that has prospects. So if you are a coaching club now and any of the teams that you work with have prospect age kids, you cannot do that under this proposal. Now the rationale for that is, I think we all know that there's an inherent advantage when you're dealing with prospect age kids if you have a relationship with them, whether it's through ODP, club, national team, and we're trying to eliminate that as an advantage to anyone. I think a big part of this can also help us, which is there's demand for good coaches for kids that are under prospect age. Right now, it's just more advantageous for us to coach prospect age kids because of that inherent advantage in the recruiting. And so I think that in terms of eliminating your involvement, it just doesn't eliminate it, it moves it to a younger age group.
I think the obvious argument there is we're very fortunate in the SEC that as an assistant coach I get paid quite well. But many coaches in the country supplement their income by coaching club teams. And the club teams where they will make the most money tend to be at the moment the older teams. So you're asking for a complete reversal of that, where they'll go back and coach below prospect age kids, which many parents might say, you know what, I don't want to pay any money for a coach, or I'm quite happy with the way things are. And so you're taking away a big part of some people's livelihood.
And I think the argument for that is twofold. One is I do think this will change ODP, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing probably remains to be seen. Because right now the ODP system relies on college coaches to be their main source of coaches in the ODP system, and they pay minimal amounts of money for those coaches to be there. I would hesitate to guess that there's not too many other camps that a coach would work for $500 a week if it wasn't ODP, because of the advantage you have recruiting. So I personally think this is the positive side of this for us. The positive side is that now quality coaches get placed with younger aged kids. In other parts of the world, the best coaches work with the younger players because that's where they're investing in the development of those players. Right now in our ODP and even in our club system, once we get past U16, things start to get a little dicey in terms of involvement, whether it's ODP or club. And I think that's because the system is used to get a college scholarship. Once you've gotten your college scholarship, your goal is achieved, and there's not as much motivation to do it. I think if those coaches are coaching youth players, that's going to really enhance the quality of our development of our players. Now, there's going to be situations, obviously, where in some parts of the countries or in some isolated areas where maybe there's not as much demand for coaching with the younger kids. But, I think that if we can get to the point where prospect age kids are not allowed to be contacted or be involved with our coaches, that only helps our sport in the long run.